A wild week in New York City politics. The corruption case against Mayor Adams dismissed.
So today we turned the page. We move forward together.
Not 24 hours later, Adams announcing he's making an independent run for mayor.
I can get back out and speak with New Yorkers and show how I've been fighting for them and producing for them.
PIX on Politics, bringing you complete coverage from a one-on-one interview with Mayor Eric Adams to complete political and legal analysis.
New Yorkers are fed up with Eric Adams' leadership. They don't like a mayor that works for Donald Trump and not for New Yorkers.
I think it's pretty obvious, just on the face of it, what they were trying to accomplish with the mayor.
We dive into what this means for the race for New York City's top leader, plus the race for New Jersey governor ramping up. Jersey City Mayor Stephen Fulop going on the record, making his case for why he should be the Democratic nominee. PIX on Politics starts right now.
This is PIX on Politics with Dan Manarino.
And welcome to PIX on Politics, everybody. I am Dan Manarino, and where to even begin after another crazy week, right? Mayor Eric Adams dominating the headlines after his case was dismissed, and then deciding right away to make an independent run for mayor. So I went one-on-one with Mayor Adams Friday morning to discuss all of the very latest. Here's more. And there's a lot of discussion right now about when exactly you made that decision. Was it this week that you made that decision? Was it before? Was it seeing the polling that Andrew Cuomo was ahead by a lot, low fundraising dollars? What was the timeline and the deciding factor for you to make that decision?
A difficult one, and it was days away from the judge's decision. We did not think it was going to take that long, and I was clear. I wanted to have some final decision to the voters. And once we became so close to the primary, we knew we had to shift. I'm still a Democrat. I will be running on an independent line. And no, it had nothing to do with polling. I was behind Andrew Yang by double digits in February of 2021. It is about getting my message out and continue the work that we have accomplished, the record level of things we've done in the city, from crime to housing to bringing back all of our businesses, more jobs in the city, in the city history. Those are the things that we want to continue doing the job.
So now that you actually have a plan, do you have a campaign staff, Mr. Mayor? Who is your campaign manager and running the day-to-day operation?
Well, it was never that I did not have a plan. I keep telling people all the time, the only person in the race that has ever won for mayor is Eric Adams. So I have a plan, and we are convening this weekend with the entire team. We're going to roll out all of our staffers in the next few days. But remember, there's a difference from running as an incumbent than an insurgent. I had to introduce myself to voters as an insurgent. Voters know me. Now I have to show the record of success that we've had in the city.
So do you have a campaign manager? Is there a name?
As I always say, Dan, you know I tell you all the time that when it's time to announce the team, we will announce the team. The one person that the voters need to know, and that's Eric Adams and Eric Adams' record.
Yeah, I mean, well, we're just saying, I don't want to say we're in it. I mean, we're in the campaign. But I've heard you repeatedly talk about how the Democratic Party left you, and you criticized the previous administration so much so that you even considered at one point suing the Biden administration. So what is it about the Democratic Party of today that you feel so aligned with to still call yourself one?
When you say, what did I feel aligned with?
Yeah,
I'm
with
aligned with
Party.
Fighting for working class people. Yes, my message has always been working class people, public safety. Dan, go back 35, 40 years and see what I was saying, and it's the same thing I'm saying now. Public safety is a prerequisite to prosperity. We got to fight for working class people. I have seen it on the ground as a police officer when you abandon working class people. And I don't think the party is clearly fighting on behalf of those items that are crucial to working class people. Affordability, public safety, housing. These are all kitchen table issues that we should be zeroing in on. And that is what my focus would be, as I have been for over 40 years.
Will you be voting in the Democratic primary?
Yes, I always will exercise my right to vote.
So you will be doing the ranked choice system and voting for somebody in June. Do you want to say who?
No, I'm not. I'm not going to vote for the position of mayor, because the position of mayor, there's only one candidate that I'm going to be voting for, and that's Eric Adams. I'll vote for my city council and whatever other positions like judges that's on the ballot, but I'm a bullet voter. There's one person that should take this city to the next 4 years, and that's Mayor Eric Adams.
And speaking of that, Mr. Mayor, I heard you on your video announcing your independent run, saying as a Democrat, it's the first time I really heard you acknowledge something. And you and I have spoken many times, and I heard you say that you trusted people you should not have and you regret it. Do you want to talk about who those people are?
No, I don't. I don't think looking backwards is going to answer the questions that we have looking forward. I believe that one thing you heard me say also over and over again, I'm perfectly imperfect. I am not among the rank and file of perfection. You make mistakes, and when you make those mistakes, you learn from them and you adjust. And yes, there were people in my life over the last 3 years that I trusted and I should not have, and I apologize to New Yorkers for that. But everyday New Yorkers can tell you that they've made mistakes in life, and this is a city of imperfect people trying to move towards perfection.
Yeah, and
that is how you run a city.
I heard you talk about the affordability just a few moments ago, and that's where you feel the Democratic Party may be having some issues. But I want to talk about news of the day, and that's that the markets are very volatile right now with the news of these tariffs. China retaliating with tariffs of their own. You said that Democrats don't address affordability, but do you expect the cost of goods in New York with the tariffs to go up? What's your message to New Yorkers right now about what's playing out in real time with the Trump administration surrounding affordability?
Well, I think that there's been some unfair tariffs that were hit on the country, and that is the job of the president. I do not control tariffs. What I must do is continue to put the money back in pockets of New Yorkers. We put $30 billion back in the pockets of New Yorkers. We decreased the cost of child care from $55 a week to less than $5 a week. We decreased unemployment in the city. We're paying off medical debt in the city.
So you think the tariffs are okay?
So when you see what I'm doing here, based on the uncertainties of the economics of this country, I am adjusting here in the city. I'm the mayor of the city. Our national leaders must deal with national policies like they failed to do so with securing our borders and giving us 200,000 migrants and asylum seekers. I must adjust the turbulent winds of the national movement.
Okay, so he did not have a lot to say about the tariffs there. Let's talk about what is going on here with all of that and more in our PIX panel today. I'm joined by PIX 11 political reporter Henry Rossoff. We have professor at University of Mount St. Vincent, J.C. Polanco, and former federal prosecutor, current attorney Duncan Levin. So thank you for being here, part of this panel this morning. And let's begin with the decision to run as an independent. You heard him say right there that he will announce a campaign staff shortly, whatever that means. Almost sounding like he doesn't have one, Henry, at this point. So what do you make of that?
We've repeatedly asked him why he's not out there campaigning, why he doesn't have a campaign staff, and he's continued to give similar answers to the one that you just heard. I'll roll out a strategy. Running as an incumbent, that's a very different thing than running in a Democratic primary where I'm trying to get my name out there. And those points are all valid, but let's just deal with the facts here. You know, the polling shows him way out of it in the Democratic primary. It shows almost everyone except Andrew Cuomo and then Zohran Mamdani running in a completely different lane out of it in the Democratic primary. So it's hard to believe that he'd have a good shot there. I heard Whitney Tilson, another Democratic candidate who's not doing particularly well himself, explain yesterday he believes that he's hoping one of the more left-leaning candidates gets through as opposed to former Governor Cuomo, and then he comes across as more of a moderate Democrat in a general. That could be a good way for him to go.
So, JC, let me come to you because you are an independent. And I mean, here's the thing. Do you see a world where this provides him a path to winning? Will this help him with Democratic voters by going down this lane of independent?
It depends. Is anything possible? Sure. I can get abs by November, I think, but I don't think so, right? The truth is this. He would need for a socialist to win the Democratic primary and for the electorate to, as you just heard earlier from Henry, view it as he is the only real centrist candidate.
Hold on right there. Hold on right there, JC, because you just brought a valid point. He's banking on the fact, and this is what I heard from others as well, that Andrew Cuomo doesn't win on the Democratic line, that Zohran Mamdani does, and then he's the palatable choice.
There's another calculus here I want you to think about. Imagine a world where Mamdani runs on the Working Families Party line, Andrew Cuomo runs on the Democratic line, Curtis Sliwa has the Republican line, and here's the independent candidate, Mayor Eric Adams, running as the guy that you know and hoping that there's a four-way split in November. There is that calculus that he must be thinking about because the Working Families Party is never going to support Andrew Cuomo. We all know that.
Okay, but all of this comes on the heels, Duncan, of the case being dropped against him, right? You're a former federal prosecutor, dropped with prejudice, meaning the charges can't come back. Now, Eric Adams seeing this as a big win. But is it a loss for the Trump administration? How do you see that when you read the 78 pages?
I actually think it's a sort of reminder of the enormous power that the Trump administration has right now in order to drop criminal charges to advance its own agenda. There's no way to view this other than an absolute win for the president and his Department of Justice to be able to basically come out and say there's no merit to our dropping these charges. It's not based on the facts of the case. We just don't want these charges to go forward because it's politically not expedient, and the judge has no option but to drop the charges. So it really bolsters the power of the executive branch. And so the politics aside of it, just from a purely legal perspective, it just shows his enormous power to commute sentences and pardon people, drop charges, bring charges. These are all squarely in the purview of the executive branch, and the judicial branch really can't do much about it.
So, yeah, but here's the thing, Henry, let me come to you for a second, because you're on the ground each and every day. You've been spending a lot of time covering this campaign. There's this whole idea that he has an allegiance to the Trump administration. And then he comes out and says, I'm so happy the charges have been dropped, and holds up a book by Kash Patel, the current FBI director. And he says that it has nothing to do with the fact that there was a potential quid pro quo with the Trump administration. He says he just enjoyed the book.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing himself no favors when he makes statements like that and holds up books like that. But there was an interesting moment just the day after he held up that book, and he was on the stage at the National Action Network convention and was asked to his face by Al Sharpton after this preamble about how we've never lied to each other and we go way back and on and on and on. Are you beholden to the Trump administration? And the mayor said, it breaks my heart, quoting Mayor Adams now, that people would think that. And he says, I'm the sitting mayor of New York. I am who I've always been. And, to bleep with those people who think I'm beholden to the Trump administration. That's what the mayor said on the stage to an important constituency. So on one day, he's holding up a book by a Trump ally. On the next day, he says, go to bleep if you think I'm beholden to President Trump.
And JC, I almost gave him the chance to go after the affordability thing, which he slams the Democrats for, about tariffs. And he said, well, we need to stand up for America.
Listen, there's no question that Mayor Adams' kiss of death was working with the Trump administration. Accepting the dismissal without prejudice was a major political disaster. This has hurt him in ways that are unimaginable. Holding up Kash Patel's book hurts him in many ways. It's going to be very tough for him to make the case for Democrats to support him in November, even those Democrats that may not like Andrew Cuomo. His connection to Donald Trump has hurt him a great deal.
Okay.
However, I imagine a world, guys, where Donald Trump wants Mayor Adams to win in November, and he starts making calls on his behalf. It'd be interesting to see if this calculus that Mayor Adams is working on is something that we're not even thinking about.
Very good point there. And Duncan, I want to give you the last word here, because there's been this whole idea that, well, he's celebrating that he won and he has no potential jail time. But can there be charges now that come forth from, say, the Manhattan District Attorney? Can he say, well, there is merit to this case and I'm going to put forth charges?
Sure. Well, it's not only that, but remember, right before these charges were dismissed and before this brouhaha all started, the United States Attorney's Office told the judge in the district court that they were considering bringing additional charges against the mayor. They were going to bring a superseding indictment. And so obviously it's doubtful that this DOJ that just dropped the charges is going to bring those charges, but there are other charges out there. So he is not completely exonerated, nor was this dismissal on the face of it. And so just like the Manhattan DA stepped in to pick up some of the pieces of the Trump prosecution and the hush money case, the DA's office could step in here. I don't know that there are any specific charges that would be state charges, but that absolutely has got to be a concern for the mayor.
All right, jam-packed panel, everybody. Henry, Duncan, JC, great to have all of you here to discuss a very, very important week in politics. Good to see you all. All right, everybody. And still to come, we're coming up, we're going to be focusing on the next big race, and that is New Jersey's primary day, just about 2 months away. The race for governor ramping up and going one-on-one with Mayor Stephen Fulop of Jersey City, who right now finds himself in the middle of the Democratic pack. How he plans to surge. He's next.